Hey guys, Carlos Colon here with Georgia Perimeter Homes, and today we're going to talk about homes that come back on the market. Why does that happen? What does it mean? And some of the things that go along with it. Guys, so you're shopping for a home and you're looking to possibly buy, and you're jumping around and you see these homes that say either new and you want to jump on it and it says pending then, which means it's under contract. Then it comes back on as a back on market. What does that really mean? So before we jump into this, I want you guys to make sure to like and subscribe. That way any new videos that we release every week, you get first dibs on them. You get to see them first. And then hit that notification bell if you haven't already, which means that you'll get notified of when we have a new release video. So let's jump right in. So when you're shopping for a home, a back home market, there are really two ways to think about this. Number one is we need to talk about people's perception on what most people immediately jump to, especially if you're paying attention to the market, which typically means that you're actually looking to purchase in some way, shape, or form, or maybe you're an agent and you see these come on all the time. And then the other is the reality. What could that actually mean versus what we tend to think? So let's go into the perceptions. What is it that people tend to think happens when a home says back on market? So the easiest thing to get confused with this, and what most people immediately jump to, is there's got to be something wrong with the home. They backed out for some reason. Well, it's not necessarily true, but the mind tends to go to these negative places because immediately you think of yourself, right? Put yourself in that position. I love that home. It looks beautiful. There must be something wrong. And that's the way the brain simplifies it, and it keeps it in that avenue, in that part of your mind. But the truth is a lot more complex than that. The second thing I've heard a lot about, or people say, is, oh man, it's either what we just talked about, which is a condition. There must be something wrong with the house. Or number two, I bet those people are really hard to work with. And maybe that's why they backed out. I mean, it could be true, I guess, but in most cases, that's not at all the situation. Between those perceptions, let's talk about the reasons why a home actually comes back on the market. And there's a multitude. There's so many. So just to name a few, I mean, we've got the buyer's financing fell through. This one's the most popular one. What does that really mean? That means that they were going through the mortgage process and something happened and they had to be denied for the loan, or they couldn't secure the loan to buy the house. That is very, very common. Now, keep in mind, by the way, sometimes agents, when they put a home back on the market, will actually write in the public remarks, buyer's financing fell through to no fault of the seller, something of that nature. Okay? And also keep in mind that that may or may not be true, but this is one of the most common situations that does happen as to why a home comes back on the market. But what other reasons could there be other than the buyer, wasn't able to get the loan? Well, truly, yes, there could have been inspection issues. Inspection issues, what we're typically talking about, are deal breakers. For example, the roof is way too old and I don't want to mess with it, right? Or, hey, the foundation has some funky things that the inspector found, and I'm not willing to even take that chance. I'm just going to go find something else. Sometimes there are deal breakers in the inspections. Although they're not that common as the financing falling apart, they do happen. But the more common situation, rather than just the house has bad issues, is that the negotiations, we weren't able to see eye to eye on the inspection. So maybe the roof was old, and sometimes, like in the market that we're in right now, that when we're currently filming this, it's a very strong seller's market still. But let's say that the buyers are asking the sellers to put on a brand new roof because the roof is older than they expected. Well, that's a little unreasonable. Most people can't just put on a brand new roof. But I mean, sometimes they can. There's no harm in asking, other than maybe that just completely shuts off all lines of communication between the buyers and sellers, and they can't see eye to eye. The whole deal falls apart. That is possible. Okay, so that's one of the other reasons we can't really negotiate very well with each other on some of these repairs or just in general. Okay, next would be the buyers change their minds. This happens a lot with buyers that kind of jump from area to area. Most people in the state of Georgia are now willing to commute for work and family, and so that gives them a lot more flexibility on where they're willing to be. And so buyers, sometimes they'll put in contracts, and during the due diligence period and that inspection period, they'll just back out because they go, I don't think I want to actually live here. Let's just go somewhere else. All right. Now, if the buyer's agent has done their job and we've had good, strong conversations about this on the front side, that really shouldn't happen because we should have eliminated that area as an option ahead of time if we did our due diligence on the front side and having a conversation with our buyers to know whether that city was even somewhere they really wanted to be. The next two, the buyer's situation changed. This does happen a lot. It happens a lot more with military than it does with your average buyer. So in military world, you get orders to move from one base to another. Sometimes it's a state-to-state change. A lot of times it really is. Well, sometimes those orders change. So maybe, hey, we were going to move to Georgia, but my orders changed. Now I got to stay here, so I got to back out of this deal. Okay, that happens a lot. Or grandma just went to the hospital. I'm going to need every penny I need. It's a bad time for me to buy. I need to back out. Okay, sometimes life changes. However, there's another one that happens, and I've seen this happen quite a few times, which is the pre-approval, the buyer's pre-approval. Sometimes it was a lie. What I mean by a lie is sometimes it was not a good pre-approval by the lender, which means the lender ran the credit, they checked the income supposedly, and then they went ahead and said, yeah, you're pre-approved up to this amount. But the truth is maybe they ran that pre-approval based on the amount of income that the buyer reported rather than verifying the income before issuing that letter. And so that means that maybe they thought that their maximum was $400,000 because they said, I make $100,000 a year. And once they actually got the pay stubs, they realized you don't make $100,000, you make like $50,000. And so that means instead of pre-approving for $400,000, I can only approve for $300,000 or $350,000 now, so I can't buy this home. I got to back out, right? And so again, you got to make sure that your agent, if you're selling a home, is looking into these things. They should be calling that loan company to make sure that it's a good pre-approval and that these clients or the buyers are solid. One of the other common ones in this market is the appraisal. If the appraisal came in low, this happens on about 50% of the homes on the market right now. And is this usually a deal breaker? Well, not usually, as long as everything's been worked out on the front side. But the reality is, if we're selling a home or we're looking to buy a home for $500,000 and the appraisal only comes in for $350,000 or $400,000, that's a problem. Because now the seller's expected to make an extra $100,000 from the sale according to this contract, that the buyer may or may not be able to make that happen, and the sellers may be unwilling to reduce the price like that. That kills the deal a lot of times, and the sellers end up starting over. And so, yeah, back on market. So it is important, if you see a home come back on the market, try to find out why. Right? And so that'll kind of give you some headway on what to prepare for in the negotiation with the original offer that you submit, in order to be able to make sure that you have a strong contract that gets to the closing table right off the bat. The last one that I've seen before has to do with the closing attorney, and it's more related to title work. Title work meaning that we're talking about when I'm buying a home, I should be receiving a free and clear title to the property, which means there's no encumbrances. That means that nobody else has any claim to the property or any rights associated with the property when I purchase this home, and that means I can get title insurance on it. Well, sometimes the title work is not free and clear, and it's very messy, and it's going to take some time to fix it. Well, if I'm a buyer and I'm going to be out of my home here in 30 days, I may not have the time to sit here and wait 60 days for you as the attorney and the seller to fix that or figure it out. And so the timing doesn't work for me. I got to back out, give my earnest money, let me go find something else, right? Because I got to be in that home quickly. And then at that point, back on market again. We got to find a new buyer for that while they work on the title issues. So those are kind of the more realistic things that happen when a home's coming back on the market. And again, if it really was a situation where there's something wrong with the house, yeah, you would want to know. And so if they got an inspection report, try to ask for it. See if they have a copy and see if they're willing to share it with you. And if they're not, that's okay too. That doesn't mean the house is bad. But you want to make sure that you walk through with your family, or go ahead and walk through with a contractor right from the beginning before you even go into contract, and just have them take it once over, see what they think. If you're working with an experienced real estate agent, sometimes they can advise you. They're not inspectors, but sometimes they can let you know their thoughts as well and just openly talk about it. And that'll help avoid the back on market situations, and it'll also help you avoid falling into a situation where you end up having to back out as well. So, thank you so much, and if you are looking for any advice when it comes to buying or selling a home in the state of Georgia, give us a call at 770-314-1285 or check out our website at www.georgiaprohibitorhomes.com. Thanks. Bye.